Fielder. He's gone to the dogs.
Well, here we are, one more week in the Gone to the Dogs podcast life. Here I am, the host of this conglomeration of coon hunting talk, and as John Strickland would say, mayhem. Steve Fielder, your host here. I got my friend Kesten Jessee on the line. Kesten has been a guest before, and we've enjoyed having him. And he's got a story to tell us. And I brought him on for that purpose, and kind of give him an opportunity to talk about something that the two of us got into last weekend. How you doing, Kesten?
Oh, doing good. Sitting there waiting on it to get dark.
Waiting on dark 30. Usually you hunt about every time it gets darker. You try to, don't you?
Yeah, I try to go at least 5 to 6 nights a week, most times 6.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, I want to lay a little groundwork for this, and this is going to be a shorter issue, I think, episode than normal, because we all got things to do, and we've had a busy weekend. It's been really a lot of fun, and as it ended up, Kesten and I got to spend some time together this past weekend that we really hadn't planned, but we were both guests of Randy Smith up at Western Pennsylvania with the Lone Pine Trend Walker Dogs, and Randy here back a couple months ago, 3 months ago or something like that, bred his world champion female, Lone Pine Biffy Sue, for what may have been the last time, because Sue is getting up there in age. I think she's 11 now. And she was bred to Burchell Davis's stud dog that everybody knows about nowadays, the Phrogger dog. And she had some puppies. Sue's been a hard case down through the years, according to Smith. He's tried to breed her to certain stud dogs and didn't get pups, and then this litter was not a large litter, but there were 3 survivors, and they were all males. And as listeners probably know, Smith likes to keep the females, and that's going to kind of be the theme of this thing today, talking about female coon hounds. And but anyway, with 3 males, and they all turned out to be really nice looking pups, and you may have seen them on Facebook as he posted the pictures of them, but none were for sale. Smith kept one for himself, and one of them went to Burchell, the stud dog owner, and that left one more. And so Smith conceived the idea that he'd like to go online and have a drawing for this pup. And he asked me, of all people, to help him with this. Well, I have no experience whatsoever with these apps where you spin the wheel, and also I knew that the Pro Sport organization did that sort of thing from time to time. So I contacted Greg Maynard and asked him what app he used for that purpose, and he told me it was an app called Wheel of Names. And basically what you do is you go onto the app and you type in or enter in your list of participants, and then the app automatically puts their name on a spinning wheel. And you have the option of shuffling the names or whatever. But basically you click a button and boom, it spins and randomly picks the winner. And that kind of is an introduction to what Kesten and I are going to talk about here today, mainly, and the resulting trip that came out of that. Tell me about your experience with that drawing, Kesten.
Well, to be honest with you, I had no intentions of actually winning the puppy, because most people know I don't need another puppy. And I basically entered it just to support what Randy was doing because he's been good to me, and just sort of paid my entry and forgot about it. And I was sitting here in the living room. I'd forgot that the drawing, I'd missed the drawing, didn't watch it on Facebook or nothing, and phone just sort of exploded. People messaging me, offering to buy the pup and congratulating me and stuff. And I just really couldn't believe I won it. But it is what it is, I guess.
Well, I tell you what, I don't know why I would be shocked, but when the way you have to do this thing, I don't know if I did this the way most people do, but we did it on a live Facebook feed there, a go live type thing, and you got the camera there on the selfie mode, or I mean your phone on the selfie mode, and I'm talking to the folks and saying, okay, we're gonna spin this wheel, and then you flip it back over to normal camera mode, and you're looking at the screen on the laptop, and there's the wheel, and there's all the names and all, and then you just basically take the mouse or whatever method you use to navigate on your laptop and just clicked on that button in the center and around it goes. And it's just kind of a real quick deal, and it's spinning like crazy. And then, boom, when it stops, it feeds the name right up on the screen. That's the winner. And I saw Kesten Jessee, and I said, what? I said, man, what are you talking about? It was kind of a shock to me because I think there were 83 names on the drawing. So good for you, Kesten. So then you contacted me, didn't you? And I knew that. Well, okay, let me back up. Randy Smith had asked me some time back to come up on the weekend that he was going to have Clayton Stark of Stark Outdoors up doing some filming for his YouTube channel. And also, Randy had asked him to help put together a Lone Pine Kennels video. And I guess you'd call it a promotional video. And so I found out that Clayton was going to be there, and Randy asked me, won't you come on up that weekend? It'll be a lot of fun. Well, from Florida to Pennsylvania is a long way. Anyway, you slice it, whether you drive or fly. But in congratulating Kesten and all, he asked me, he said, when's the next time you're going up to Randy's? I'd like to go up with you and pick up my pup. So we kind of, through all that, we kind of got together, and I said, okay, we'll do it. And so I flew up to Tri-Cities Airport there, Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City, and went over to my brother's and spent the night. And Kesten came by the next day, and we drove up to Randy's, didn't we?
Yeah, went right on up the road and stayed. What did we stay? 2 nights.
Yeah, we were up there. We drove up on a Friday morning early. I told Smith, he said, well, don't come hungry, come in time of the afternoon so you can kick back and relax and all. And anytime you go to Smith's, it's going to be a banquet. I mean, he believes in putting on the feed bag. So, but anyway, what was it? 6 hours from my brother's house up there to Smith's, Kesten?
Yeah, look at 6 hours and 40-some minutes.
Yeah, it's not a bad drive. Most of it's interstate. You go up Interstate 77, just north of my hometown, and you pick up Highway 19, and you run it up there pretty good ways, and then it catches I-79 that goes up through Morgantown and into Pittsburgh. And part of the trip, you get to drive through the city of Pittsburgh. That's a real joy, wasn't it?
That's the worst part of the whole trip. All that traffic.
Yeah, we were in there rubbing fenders with them, and
It's hot. It is. There's a lot of traffic. It's all crammed into one spot, and it's just hard to get through.
yeah, those three rivers come together right there in Pittsburgh, and there's not a lot of land around there, but there's a lot of people, and it's all kind of jammed in together, and it's. But I found from my first experience of going up to Randy's, you can take the Interstate 79 all the way up to Butler, PA, up there, and then cut back across. But it takes more time, and it's a longer drive. So anyway, Smith's Place is, I guess, about 30 miles north of Pittsburgh, and so we got in there, and he showed us where we were going to be bedding down. And of course, I've been up there before. He's got a nice little apartment upstairs over his in his barn there, where he kind of keeps all his hunting gear and his vehicles and his side by side and that kind of stuff. So, well, what overall, before we get into the hunts themselves, Kesten, what did you think of that operation up there?
He's definitely got a nice place, a bunch of nice dogs, and a bunch of good food.
Well, there's no doubt about that. I had to grab a drink of water there. I think I've still got frogs in my throat. I kind of slept in a little bit this morning, and I've had a nap since then. These old men don't spring back as quick as you do, man. Well, Clayton Stark came in on Friday, and Clayton's over about, what did he say, 5 hours from Randy's?
I believe he said 5.5 hours, something like that.
If you haven't caught Clayton Stark Outdoors videos on YouTube, you need to check them out, because he does a great job. And in fact, I think he just recently won a video that people are really raving about, is his video of the Tournament Champions finals. He got it all mixed down in high def and all of that stuff, and it's I haven't sat down and looked at it all the way through, but I definitely got to do that. But people are really talking about it. But Clayton, I've done a little bit of that video at night, and certainly, I've been interested in the production of videos and podcasts and all that stuff. But when you watch Clayton work, and I want your comments on this, Kesten, when you watch him work, you see he's got the knack. He's got the ability to get those important shots and those clips. And of course, he works all that in together into the final product. And it's a lot of work. But there's a video right now, clip on Facebook that you need to look at in his website, or his page, of when we had the world champion Sioux female down, and watching Randy Smith's reaction to this female. He hadn't he told us he hadn't hunted her, what did he say, 4 or 5 years?
I believe he said 4.5 years she ain't been out of the kennel.
Yeah. Well, of course, to say she hadn't been out of the kennel, now at Smith's place, he's got a large exercise area for dogs. And so I don't want the listeners to think that she was been in a pen, or kennel run for that long. But no, that's true. He said she hadn't been hunting in that long, had she?
Yeah, he's got a lot there. His dogs run loose in the size of a football field.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. Well, I had hunted with Sue the weekend that she won the World Hunt back in 2016. UKC had asked me to come out and judge the bench show, and Alan Gingrich said, well, while you're out here, if you want to judge a cast, we could use you on Thursday night. So I did. I enjoyed it. I judged the cast, and then on Friday night, to kind of get the old timers, the old has-beens and all together to go out and monitor a cast, just kind of sit with the backup handlers and all, and kind of keep an eye on things, and as the hunt gets more important with each round. So I was fortunate to go out on Friday night there and see Sue win the cast and advance on into the finals, and so it was pretty cool. And so I had been hunting with her, but as I said, it had been like 7 years. So, but well. Just a little more about what we did. Of course, I caught a nap there. I don't know whether you did on Friday afternoon or not, but I caught a little nap, and then Smith's got some beef on the grill, and actually, when he cooked it over an open fire, that's a pretty nice setup he had there, wasn't it?
Yeah, cast iron skillet right over the fire. Yeah,
man. He had Troy there. Troy, his oldest boy, is 16 now, and Troy is making quite a hunter, and I know that's no end of pleasure for Randy to see Troy taking such an interest in the dogs and all. And his younger boy, Cole, is a super young man, but his interest is more in those dirt bikes, and he and his friends were there riding last weekend. Anyway, he had Troy. He was kind of like a fireman on the old wood burning locomotives. Man, he had Troy there pitching logs, wood on the fire, and keeping that thing going. And man, we had steak and some potatoes and onions, and I don't know what all he had in there. And oh man, I just ate way too much.
And you can't forget about the desserts his mom baked.
Miss Shirley, Randy's mother, is just a queen of a lady, and she used to operate a bakery, I think. But man, I mean, if you can bake it, she can do it and do it right. And she just all weekend she was bringing. She'd bring that. She'd come. She lives on her house is adjacent to Randy's. You can't see it from there, but she'd come with her Kubota, and that thing, the seat would always be loaded with goodies when she pull in. I said, awesome. Well, so after we ate ourselves under the table, and Smith's got a nice big pavilion out there. I tell him it looks like a state park. It's really a nice deal. That's pretty cool, wasn't it, Kesten?
Yeah, it is. And the fact that he done all the stonework himself out of stone that come off his family's place, the bridge that they tore out.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I remember when he was doing all that work, back-breaking work, really. And as you'd go around this place, there's quite a bit of stonework, and he talks about how that stone was all laying on pallets up and down the driveway. And all you think, man, that he's laid a lot of stone. But it is a show place. It's a beautiful home. But anyway, and a little sidebar to that is that he's out in the country, of course, and he's got beagles. So we got to, after we ate ourselves under the table, we got to sit there and listen to the beagles run, and that was fun. I enjoyed that too. You ever hunt with beagles, Cass?
Yeah, I have. There's quite a bit of beagle hunters around here. I rabbit hunt.
Yeah,
fair share, and but that was definitely part of it. Just sitting there on his patio listening to dogs run rabbits.
Well, and Dark 30 got around pretty quick, and his buddy Rick Strouser, who lives north of Randy, and of course Rick was the guy that was handling Sue at the World Hunt out there and won the World Hunt. And it's kind of an interesting story about that. That was Rick's first big hunt, and he ended up taking Sue all the way to the Final Four and ultimately the championship. But Rick brought his side-by-side up so that we'd have enough rides for everybody, and really appreciated that. And I got to ride with Rick. And did you ride with me? Did we both ride with Rick?
Yeah,
Thursday night.
Yeah, we both rode with Rick the first night.
Yeah, and Randy and Clayton and Troy rode the other. They have these Can-Ams, and they're quite a nice deal, you know. When I ride my old four-wheeler to White River, I think about these guys riding these side-by-sides with power windows and all that stuff. But anyway, do you remember much about our Friday night hunt? You got those young brain cells that are sharper than mine, Kesten. What do you remember about Friday night?
I remember every dog that we turned loose treed 2 coons, and we seen them all.
Yeah.
And I remember the first dog we turned loose was the one that his son had been hunting.
Yeah, that's the Bertha female. She is out of the out of old Sioux, and a dog called Louie. Sonny Phipps had over in Ohio that was a full brother to Fran, Lone Pine Fran, that's the mother of your Clyde dog.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, well, tell me what you remember about our hunt Friday night.
Well, turned her loose twice, and she got in there twice and treed 2 coons, seen both coons, and looked really good. And then the second dog, I'm having a hard time remembering what the second dog we turned loose was.
Well, it was probably the little Fran female, I'm thinking.
No, it was Dinah.
Dinah, okay. Dinah is a female that is a litter mate to the Bella female that Randy has. And I was familiar with Bella, but wasn't as familiar with Dinah. And she's kind of been in the background. But Rick is hunting her now. Smith had some bad luck with his bank dog. 3 or 4 years, 3 years ago, I guess, he bred the baby female he had that was a litter mate to, actually, baby was a female that placed second in the UKC World Hunt. She placed in several Final Fours, and she was just recently inducted into the Treeing Walker Hall of Fame by the Treeing Walker Breeders and Fanciers, and was was probably the favorite all time for Randy and for Rick Strausser. But she died having puppies. But anyway, in that litter, he had bred baby to Kevin Cable's Little Money dog. And Smith kept 2 dogs, a lady female and Bank, the male. Of course, Lady's been in the news when Randy went partners with John Strickland, and she won the truck there in a pro sport hunt here not too long ago. But unfortunately, the Bank dog passed away. And I don't know, do you remember what they said happened to Bank?
I believe he said something about he drunk some bad water.
That's right. He got into something there, and it basically poisoned the dog, which is terrible. Well, anyway, so Rick is now hunting this Dinah female. What do you remember about her, Kesten?
Turned her loose twice, and she got gone, treed 2 coons. From what I could tell, moved around really good and operated really nice, and probably one of my favorites. Probably.
Mm-hmm. We hunted in the 2 nights. All the dogs we hunted were females. Each dog, except one time, was none of the drops we made was with more than 1 dog, except on one of the drops on Saturday night after the Remy female was treed or about to get treed. He cut this heifer female loose. And we'll talk about that when we move to Saturday night. But so basically, and this is pretty much the MO when I go up to hunt with Smith, is he'll take a couple of females and he'll turn them loose one at a time. And what'd you think about their hunting style? This is not, guys, okay, let me do a timeout. This is not a promotion for Lone Pine Kennels. This is not an attempt to say these are the best dogs in the world. This is a coon hunting podcast talking about coon hunting. We went up last weekend to go coon hunting at the fellowship and to have a good time. Watch Clayton Stark at work, because that's interesting, watching a man doing all the legwork and the production that's behind a video. And I enjoy that stuff a lot. But it's just to kind of give you an idea of what these dogs are like. Lone Pine may not be your cup of tea. You may would prefer to have a different strain of Walker dogs. We're just telling you what we saw, right, Kesten?
Yeah, just talking about what we've seen.
Well, so that's Dinah then was the next one we turned loose after Bertha?
Yeah, and then I think after Dinah, we moved on to Little Fran.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, Little Fran is out of the Fran female, and I believe her sire was Hardiman's Jeb.
I believe you're right.
I believe that's what Little Fran is out of. I kind of liked her. I like her mouth. I thought she had an outstanding mouth. A good tree dog. What did you think about her?
I really liked her too. She had a good mouth. Got treed. Took a bad track and put it into it. And treed the second coon, and she's a pretty dog too.
Yeah, she is. She is. I always liked her mother. Her mother was a really, but she was actually Fran. Her mother was the first of Randy's dogs that I saw go. The very first time I went up there to go hunting with him, he cut her first. And I just liked the way she hunted. We sat in the buggy and watched her on the drive track and how she worked the creeks and the woodlots and moved around, But Franny was and a nice tree dog, and she had the coons. Every time she threw her head back and settled in, we saw a coon in the tree. And that was the first time I'd gone hunting with a thermal, was the night I hunted with Fran. And Randy was showing me those coons, and of course we'd already seen their eyes, and he said, "No, here, look at it through this." Is eye opening for sure. All right, so that was 3. All right, we hunted with Bertha, and we hunted with Dinah, and we hunted with Little Fran. What else did we turn loose that night?
Then we come back home, and that's when we turned Sue loose.
Oh, okay. That was on Friday night. We turned Sue.
Yeah, that was the first night after Rick went home, remember?
Right. Well, Rick was going to work the next day, and he had an hour or so to drive home. So he left his buggy there for us and headed back home. And Randy's been working on a place over across the road from his house, and I think the property that he purchased over there, and has got it looking really, really nice. And I remember hunting when I had the cruise dog hunting at that spot, and we went over there, and it was kind of like turning loose in the backyard of this house. Was actually what we did. And what do you remember about that?
I remember took her over, cut her loose. She ran to the edge of the woods. She ran up the edge of the woods, running the line, and just took a right-hand turn and dipped over in the woods and circled around below us and got down in a holler and got struck off a creek and worked the track up on the side of the ridge and fell treed. I believe they said that she was around 800 yards. And we sat there and listened to her for a minute, drove around to her.
You think about that. Now, she's 11 years old, and, I think it's a pretty good strategy, but this is the way Randy operates up there, is that he puts those dogs out there, when they're capable of winning, when they're at their best. gets their titles or enters them into whatever major hunts that he wants to enter them in. And then when that phase is over, then he starts picking stud dogs for them. And he said this over and over. And I don't think he makes any qualms about it, that he hopes, although he breeds to these really well-known and well-respected stud dogs, that he hopes they'll turn out like their mothers. You remember what he said about that, Kesten?
Yeah, he wants to see a dog like the mother. He wants them to take back after their moms.
Yeah. Well, but to think about, here's old Sue, and she's 11 years old, and Stark's already posted a clip on Facebook that I saw today that I thought was awesome. He's got a close-up shot of Randy listening to Sue and kind of making a little comment here and there as she's worked this track, and then as she comes in and locates on that tree and rolls it over, and it just grinning from ear to ear like a kid with a new puppy. To think, that old girl, as old as she is and all, hadn't been hunted in almost 5 years, and then to hear her just like she hadn't missed a beat, It's just, and I think sometimes it makes me think of when we worry about these dogs. Well, I'm not hunting them every night. I'm not hunting, I'm not doing this. Well, you do need to hunt, especially a young dog. You do. And there's no substitute for hunting them to get them really right, keep them in good shape, keep them tuned sharp. I understand all that. But the fact that once they're a coon dog, I mean, that's God-given, I think. It's genetics, it's down deep in them, but the heart of an old hound like that is something to behold, I think. Yeah. It's awesome. So that was our Saturday night hunt, and I think we finished our Friday night, excuse me. And I think we must have finished around 1 o'clock, something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. 12:30, 1 o'clock, something like that. We then went upstairs and just sort of hung out and talked, and then I believe everybody went to bed, and we woke up the next morning and had a big breakfast.
He had that cast iron skillet out again, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Eggs, bacon, hash browns, all kinds of good stuff.
Hey, what about those hash browns in that bacon grease?
Those were good. Yeah, those were good. Yeah, they definitely were.
And there's just something about, after a good night's hunt, getting out and having a good breakfast, and especially out in the open air,
Yeah.
It's just, the appetite is there more so. It seems like the food tastes so good. And so Randy, he 2 meals now he's cooked for us, right?
Right. Yeah, and it ain't over yet.
No,
I guess we left from breakfast, and another part I really enjoyed was after breakfast going and meeting the lady that helps him raise his puppies.
Yeah, Amy. I think it's Bowser.
She plays an important role.
She plays a tremendous role, and I, that's one of the toughest parts I think about coon hunting, is raising pups, because it's labor intensive. There's a lot of stress involved in it at times. The guys that break into this coonhound game and think, well, I'm going to get a male or I'm going to get a female. And then, I had a guy contact me here just last week, and he got a young black and tan dog, and already he's wanting to breed the dog. Well, that's his dog and his priority, but this breeding thing, it's just not, you just don't do it on a whim if you want to do it right. And there's the aspect of getting the dog bred to begin with, and making sure you get them caught at the right time and all that. And I guess using frozen semen at times, and all, you got to do the progesterone tests and all the things that go along with that. And then the puppies come, and then you got that to contend with, the stress of checking those things periodically throughout the day and night to make sure they're fine and none of them are looking sickly and mama's not laying on any of them. And it's just a lot to do. And Randy is very fortunate to have Amy, who basically takes these females once they're bred and getting fairly close to their date. And she's like a midwife. And do you remember what she said about Sue when she'd have her puppies?
Yeah, she said something about she'd have her puppies, and within the first day, they was trying to crawl out of the box.
They were strong ones. But the thing that I was referring to is she said, well, Sue was one that, she, I asked her if she paid attention to the temperature of the bitch. Usually if their temperature drops and all, you can tell that that's kind of time, that they're going to have their puppies and all. And she said, well, she used to do some of that, but she says they let her know. And she pointed up to the house. So she says, my bedroom window's right there on that corner. I can hear them if those bitches will let me know when they're going into labor. And she said, I remember her saying that Sue was one that wanted her there. And she wanted her actually to kind of lay down there by the whelping box and be right with her. And once she did that, she'd settle right down, And I know years ago it was frustrating to me to have a female that wouldn't be still. It was always up and down, jumping up and down. And even after their pups, the pups would be nursing and something would come in, they'd jump right up and pups go flying everywhere, and all. But these good bitches, good mamas don't do that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm with you. It was delightful to meet her and her husband, Greg, and their place, the farm there that they have. And it was neat to watch Clayton video in that segment with Randy and his female the shot female that's out of jigs. And she had a litter right there. What were those? About not quite 2 weeks old, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't believe that. Yeah, I believe when we left, I remember you asking him, and I believe he said that they was going to come 2 weeks old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was a little unusual with most of these Lone Pine dogs anymore are blanket back dogs. A lot of black on, but that was an open spotted litter. All of them really pretty pups, though. I mean, they were really nice. Yeah,
healthy looking.
Yeah, and I think Randy commented as we drove in, there was a couple Angus steers there. He said one of them was his.
Yeah.
So I think they're looking forward to that. There'll be some more steaks on that on that griddle or in that cast iron skillet here before long. Yeah, that was great. And we did that on Saturday afternoon, didn't we?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that was Saturday afternoon, and then we come back from there, and I believe I believe we both took a nap. And yeah,
you're telling on me, Kesten, man. Grandpa's got to have a nap. Now, I'm telling you, folks. I mean, that's part of my daily agenda is getting a few winks. When we go to White River, I love those bedrooms in that lodge we have out there because there's no windows in them, and the walls were painted black in those sleeping rooms. Of course, there's a big lodge there with a lot of room to sit around and visit and all that. But your bedroom, man, it's like no light, no sound. Man, you can really get some sleep. Yeah. But so.
And then while we were napping, I think Clayton and Randy's son, they were doing some interviews.
Yeah, as part of this, and this should be, folks, you look forward to this video. I'm sure it's going to be really good. If those of you who might be interested in seeing an operation like Lone Pine and how they approach things and all, and then to hear the stories, and they were kind of breaking down dog after dog, weren't they? And
I think they went over every dog from dog number one, if I ain't mistaken.
yeah, so that's going to be quite a production. It's going to take some time, but then there was an interesting twist to things, right? Well, first of all, we got to see Clayton operate as a drone.
Yeah,
Which is
yeah.
something that interests me a lot. I've often thought I'd like to have one of those. And back when Clay Newcomb posted some videos on, his Bear Hunting Magazine channel or whatever, and I've always enjoyed those drone shots. I think they're cool. Yeah. But anyway, Clayton was showing us all how this thing will work, and it was pretty impressive, man. I mean, he flew all over the place, taking shots of this and that. And one shot that he got, I don't know if he'll use it in the video, but I thought it was pretty cool. It's where Randy's out there by the pen, and all the dogs are out there, and I guess he might have been feeding them a little something. I don't know, but it almost looked like a guy standing out there feeding his catfish, standing on a dock. That was just Walker hounds, man, everywhere. But I guess I should qualify that right there or clarify that. Randy doesn't keep a lot of dogs at home. He'll usually have 2 or 3, maybe older females and whatever puppies that have been selected to run loose on the farm there. And he believes in that and letting them run loose, up to they're 3 or 4 months old, the ones that he's going to keep. But he, as you said before, Kesten, he's got that nice exercise pen there, enclosure for him. But what do you remember about the drone photography and the situation there?
It was pretty good, and he flew around everywhere there. And then the downside to it was he hit the trees.
I thought it was kind of fun. It wasn't funny at all, but it was interesting. Let me say that. He's saying, this thing, if it starts to run out of power, it'll turn around and come back. If it's getting too far out for the signal or whatever, it'll turn around and come back. And he was hovering it here and there, and he's really good with it. He hasn't had that thing very long. But first thing I know, it sounds like a weed whacker in a tree up there. I'm not sure what happened there, but it got a little low around some trees, and it came down.
It come down and brought tree limbs with it.
Yeah. So that was an unfortunate thing, but he didn't seem to be too worried about it. He said, "No, we'll take care of that."
I think he said it was still under warranty and they'd cover it, so that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah, and he had gotten the footage he wanted anyway, so that was cool. But then the really big story was he got a phone call. Were you there when they called him?
Yeah, we was actually eating our third dinner.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We need to talk about what we did for dinner on Saturday night.
That's all I can tell you. It was good. It was a bunch of fish, shrimp, just all kinds of stuff.
He had walleye. First of all, everybody knows that walleye is a delicious eating fish. And he's got some kind of a pretty sophisticated deep frying, electric deep fryers there that he's got on the back of his barn around there. I guess you open it up and it's got its own little compartment there. And so he's got these walleyes frying in there, sizzling. And I tried, what did he call those things? It's like the chest bone or something of those walleye. And they got some meat on either side of them. I'm sure the fishermen out there know but that was really good. And he also had some nice big shrimp and some scallops. And he said, I was going to do French fries, but with all this, and then we got down there, and Carrie's got a big skillet full of these, I call them calico beans, maybe they're called cowboy beans or something, on the fire. Man, I ate till I couldn't walk. Yeah.
It was good. That it was really good.
And so we were what, finishing up supper or something when.
Well, I don't even think he got to completely finish his supper. I think he was still eating. He was sitting beside of me, and he just I sort of noticed he jumped up and took off over to Randy.
And the mystery about all that was that Clayton's wife was expecting their, what is it, their third or fourth?
Yeah,
Third.
their third, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. And not due until this, the next week. And so he's 5 hours from home, and he gets that call that every expectant dad looks forward to, I'm sure, but not when you're 5 hours away, that you need to get home, that the labor has started and you're going to be a daddy here pretty soon. So right away, Clayton was gathering up stuff and all, and getting in the vehicle, and he had a puppy to take back to Burchell Davis, and he had a dog of Burchell's there, and had that poker face dog there. We got to see him. We didn't get to hunt with him, but at any rate, so Clayton heads back to Ohio, and we're thinking, man, oh man. Of course, so that kind of limited a bit what we had planned to do on Saturday night, as far as really hunting some more dogs and getting them on film or on the camera. But the good thing about it was we get the call, I think around 11 o'clock or so that evening, that he made it home. Well, what did they say, about 10 minutes to spare?
10 minutes to spare, and it was born.
Yeah, Randy told me here today. I talked to him, and he said he got there. He walked in the hospital. He was there in 5 minutes after he got whatever he had to do to go in. The baby was born, and he's already posted her on Facebook. She's a beauty, totally healthy, perfect in every way. So congratulations to the Starks on their new baby, and thankfully Clayton got there in time. He would have been in the doghouse for a long time and say if he'd missed that appointment.
Yeah.
But that was all good. And so, what do you remember about Saturday night?
I wish I could, but I can't remember the guy's name that came.
Oh, okay, Kyle, and I've got to remember Kyle's last name, and I apologize. Kyle is he is the one that handled the Jill female, Jillian, that these Phrogger puppies are out of, and let's see, in that no. The Phrogger puppies, the newest ones, were out of Sioux, but the one that you and I have together
Was out of Jill.
And but anyway, Kyle's a great guy, good hunter, hard hunter, and he's a farmer. Lives over in extreme western Pennsylvania, over near the Ohio border, and so he came over and brought Jill, and also brought a young female that's out of Trackman, and Jillian, named, what's he call her? Remy. Yeah. And then there's another dog that we took along that night, was the heifer female, right?
Yep, that's the three we hunted Saturday night.
Right. Now, heifer, I think, is the one that's out of, I might have misspoke before. I don't remember exactly what heifer's out of. Do you?
No, I don't. I remember I asked Randy how old she was, and I believe she's, and don't hold me to this, but if I ain't mistaken, 16, 17 months old, something like that.
Right. Well, what do you remember about that hunt, Kesten?
I remember the two young dogs were very impressive. I really liked them both. And Jillian, we turned her loose, and she got on a track and tried to work it out. And I believe she got hung up in a beagle pen, and she couldn't get through the beagle fence. And the coon had got through, and we had to go get her off of that.
Yeah, yeah. And Jill, she's not real old at this point, but she's, kind of been in semi-retirement, I guess. But overall, we saw some pretty good dog work, didn't we?
Yeah. Both of the young dogs, the Remy female and the heifer female, they really put on a show.
I remember that one time, that one drop there. I think it was maybe the second time we'd cut Remy. And as I say, she was out of that, she's a TrackMan semen pup. And she was working the track right-handed down under the hill there and would come treed fairly quick. And kind of contrary to what he normally does, I saw Smith come out of the four-wheeler or the side-by-side there with that heifer female on the leash, and he cut her right down over the hill. And I was watching on the Garmin, and she went right there about where Remy had taken a right-hand turn, and she just immediately turned left and went the other way in there. And what'd she do? She got struck down in there.
Yeah, she went off left-handed, and I believe there's a creek down there, and she got struck off that creek and ran a track up and crossed the road, went up on the bank on the other side of the road and got treed. So you had two young dogs split treed, and I mean he turned that heifer female. I mean he turned her straight in there toward the Remy female, which was fixing to get treed, and didn't pay a bit of mind to her. Went right on by her and went down there and struck her own coon and ran it through her and got treed.
Yeah, and that's one when we walked in, you saw it going in.
Yeah. The Remy dog's tree. Yeah, I seen the coon was walking through a field, and I don't know, it was probably 100 yards from the tree, and I could see eyes in the top of that tree. And we went down there and shined that tree, and it took us forever, but we finally found it.
Yeah, I was standing back up there, and y'all came, and I just figured, well, you saw it walking in there, but you I didn't think you saw it from the tree. But when you got back up there to the old man, I tell you, folks, I'll confess to you, I'm just not in shape. It's hills there. It's hilly country. It's not real rugged steep like what you're used to hunting, Kesten, or what I hunted for years. But it's still hilly. And when you're my age, it's just not easy. Flat land, man, I'm good to go. But my balance was pretty good this time, and I was kind of pleased with that aspect. But I stayed back on some of those trees. If it was fairly easy walking, I went in. But
you went to Sue's tree, and it was pretty rough walking.
Yeah. We had to climb up a bank and get up there. But, well, so anyway, what did we do? By the time we'd hunted those two, were we done?
Yeah, we come back and talked for a little while, and then we went to bed and woke up the next morning and loaded the stuff up and threw the pup in the car and headed back toward Virginia.
Yeah, when I got off of that airplane, I picked up a rental car, a little SUV, and so just make things easier on us up and back. And yeah, we headed back down the road, and we got a little rain on us as we came back down through West Virginia, but found a nice little Italian restaurant there and had a couple pizzas and headed back and got back to my brother Randy's. And I went in and visited a little bit with my sister-in-law, I guess that's what you call her, wouldn't it? Yep. And Tammy and Randy, and we watched a little women's softball. They like that sort of thing, and I do too. And you headed home to the kids with the new pup. What was the reaction when you got there with it?
They loved it, and they've been playing with it, brought it in the house, and that's where it's been ever since. It's up our way, and right now, I'll spread out, and it's a little crate up there, taking it easy.
Well, that was a very popular pup. A lot of people, wanted that pup. And for some reason, Kesten, you ended up being the one out of all those 83 people that wanted to take that puppy home. What's your plans for that pup?
Well, I've had a lot of people ask me about selling it, but I believe just the way it came about, me getting it, I feel like maybe it's meant to be. I want it for a reason, so I guess it'll stay right here, and we'll start it and hunt it and see what it makes.
Well, the one thing I think with you and me, and of course I have a partner, this partnership thing has worked out awesome for me because of my age and my location down here in Florida. But, the goal is not really to see how much money we can win with. I don't have anything to do with this pup. I know you and I are partners on a pup, but this one here is yours, lock, stock, and barrel. But I know you well enough to know the goal is not to see how much you can win or how many titles or whatever. You just want a good solid coon dog out of it, don't you?
That's all I want. That's my goal. Just something to take out here and tree some coons and have fun doing it.
Yeah, yeah. To be what are you, 28 now, Kesten?
Yeah, 28, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of these maternity calls and stuff, it's not going to be too long until you're going to be a little closer to home, aren't you?
Yeah. July 23rd is when it is.
You're going to, I don't believe much in luck. I believe things happen for a reason, but you've got 3 beautiful children already, 2 girls and a boy, and you're going to get you another boy, aren't you?
Yeah. Gonna be 2 boys, 2 girls, and that'll probably be the end of it for us.
Well, that's great, and I'm just hoping that this puppy that you got, the one that you haven't settled on a name yet, for sure, have you? Or has Kara helped you with that since you got home?
Yeah, she helped me, and I guess I filled the UKC papers out today and sent them off. Still got to send the PKC off, but on there, I figured since I won it in the raffle, it's sort of taking a chance. So we named him Lone Pine Chance.
Okay, that's good.
So we'll call him Chance.
Well, that's a good name for him, and I'd say he's got a good chance because if hunting one will make them, you can make them, and you've already proven that with your Clyde dog. And well, I'll congratulate you. I'm happy for you, and I know that you'll give that pup a good home, and that's the main thing I think anymore with me. Well, friends, we've been at it here almost an hour, Kesten. I told you we would try to keep it to about 45 minutes, but I've already exceeded that. I hope we haven't caused any problems from that aspect, but I do appreciate you coming on with me. Enjoyed our trip together. Well, folks, with that, the recorder decided to take a break and kind of left me hanging there. But I hope you enjoyed the visit with Kesten today. And he and I did have a great time up in Pennsylvania. And it's always good to get together with hunters and take a little road trip, see some new country, get out and see some new dogs. And I know Kesten had to be wishing that he had his dog along, but the mission on this trip was to pick up the pup and to just, be in the shadows as Clayton Stark did his thing with Randy, and I'm sure that's going to be a great video. I'm looking forward to watching it myself. I will give a shout out to our producer for this episode, Shannon. Shannon was my producer there for many of the early episodes of Gone to the Dogs podcast, and she's been out doing bigger and better things, but I was informed by Jason Doobie over at hunting supply that Shannon would be helping us with the editing here this week. I think Colby Moorhead is out on a hunting trip somewhere, chasing bears maybe. I'm not sure what Colby's up to this week. But anyway, that's going to wrap up our Gone to the Dogs podcast for this week. I will remind you that we are having the drawings online on Facebook for the Zepp Lifetime Coon Squallers. Basically, the contest involves listening to the episode and answering the question that's posted on my Facebook page. It's also on the Coon Hunting Conversations page and the Gone to the Dogs podcast with Steve Fielder page. So play along, and if you're the winner, we'll send you the Zepp Lifetime Squaller. The way we do that is all the correct answers are put on the wheel. We'll spin the wheel and get the weekly winner. And there'll be a quarterly prize that is to be announced for all the winners get to go on the wheel. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week. I hope everything's going well with you out there, and you're getting to get out. That's with a lot with your hounds and with your friends, and if there's any kids involved, absolutely take them hunting. Do what you can to support the groups that are supporting hound hunting. Without these groups going to the legislatures and the Wildlife Commission meetings and all these things out there, we're not going to be able to enjoy these dogs as we do so much. So if someone asks you where the old coon hunter is, just tell him, man, I don't know what he's doing, but I'm sure he's gone to the dogs.